About 2 or 3 weeks ago, my attention was brought to one infamous poet by the name of Cliff Nate Tyrrell, known by most who enjoy his work as Cliff N. Tyrrell. He is commonly regarded by the wider artistic community as something of a tortured artist. It is not uncommon to find Tyrrell pacing his room, rattled out of his mind, papers strewn about his study as if every natural disaster you could think of rolled in through the window, left, and then rolled through again just for good measure. He is a pretentious asshole. He is a know-it-all without knowing a damn thing. Having first met him, it was as if a light bulb had switched on in my mind that had shown me that to be around him or anyone like him for any longer than a minute would surely be toxic enough to slowly sap the life from my body until I am nothing more than a shriveled shell of the individual I once was before I shook his hand. Cliff Tyrrell is a major tool. These are the colorful words of other prominent artists who have met Mr. Tyrrell. They were submitted anonymously for obvious reasons, although it should be noted that every one of them offered to go on the record publicly with their statements. Across from me is Evangeline Burkhardt, a renowned writer known for her vivid, sometimes graphic imagery. She is often regarded as a tortured artist herself, and is partnered with Tyrrell. These were the qualities that had initially piqued my interest in the pair, and are the exigents for this film.
Well, a day in this house is absolutely an eventful one. No day is the same. No day is the same at all, and... God damn, hold on.
In a moment, Evangeline stood up in the middle of our interview and made her way to the next room over into Cliff's study. What follows is a tense shouting of words at one another. Despite both being writers, no statement seemed to connect to the opposition's argument, or their own for that matter, if there even was an argument to begin with. It wasn't long before they were both sitting on the floor, sobbing and caressing each other's hair. Beneath my bewildered, rightfully disturbed expression was a sudden insight, the germination of a seed that had been planted when I had first learned of the two lovers' collective existence. I was hooked. The couple first met about 4 years ago at a writers' convention, and swiftly got to talking about their favorite artists, the likes of Picasso, Poe, Plath, bonding over a shared love of darker, more thought-provoking works. It was after this that they would send letters back and forth to one another for about a year and a half before Cliff would break off his engagement to his then fiancée in order to be with Evangeline. The two have been together since. There are many out there who I've talked to that describe your relationship as a form of torture, referring to the unusual circumstances of your pairing. How do you respond to that?
Well, what these dogs argue is torture. We liken to assisting one another in our respective pieces. Our arrangements peel back layers of our minds and creative processes that we have never known before or have never been revealed to us. Without these arrangements, these layers may very well have never been discovered. And I believe that would be a real shame.
My process begins in the dark, so I can really feel the isolation. And I start to pull from the character, as you call it. I try to break down what it is I think he's feeling, and I channel it into my writings.
As a swift aside, I should clarify two things. The character Tyrrell refers to is his own, and the one the couple allege bears and deals the torture spoken of previously. Evangeline has one of her own. Second, they allege that there is no overlap between the actor and their role. They claim that they are not one, but two separate entities from which emotion is merely pulled and nothing more. To put it simply, the relationship takes a pause at the behest of the two actors in order to put on a play. The house is their stage, and then resumes once the characters are no longer needed.
Once I begin writing, it often feels like the the breaking of a dam. I feel overwhelmed, and then I can't stop. Sometimes I feel like it's not even my hand that's doing the writing, like I'm possessed.
Well, how can you be so sure it's coming entirely from him?
Him?
The character.
Oh, right. I guess I just know. You just tend to know these things when you're us, if that makes sense.
Right.
This is where I do most of my work.
Just this little room?
Yes. But even sometimes this is too much. So I like to cram myself in here.
Oh, wow, that's like a coffin.
It helps to block out a sensation. So it's just emotion.
And then it was my turn to take it for a spin.
Thoughts?
Well, I don't think I'm quite tortured enough to understand the appeal. After remaining in her room, or closet, for a time ranging from 1 to 6 hours, Evangeline will be struck with sudden insight and make her way to Cliff to profusely yell at him. Both switch into character and typically argue for 45 minutes to an hour. I'm told their current record is around 2.5 hours. They maintain that they both benefit from these fights through inspiration for their writings and emotional benefits. We are still trying to piece together what exactly that second one means in this context.
About 7 months in.
I believe it was actually 8, honey.
About 8 months in.
9. It was 9. Sorry.
About 9 months. About 9 months in, we had realized that what we were doing wasn't entirely sustainable. We were just constantly felt on edge and unsure of when one of us would be possibly struck with inspiration. So to counteract that, we made a time like this. Time to not have to worry about anything. Time to sit and enjoy each other's company.
Sometimes we talk.
Sometimes we talk. It's wonderful. And if we happen to be struck with inspiration,
We just write it down and save it for later when we head back inside.
it's really helped us feel more relaxed in each other's company.
It might have been 10 months.
But it isn't just inspiration that triggers these events. Like a shark when it smells blood in the water. Any frustration or sort of creative constipation is grounds for a
Brainstorming session.
as the two like to call it. But instead of getting a nutritious meal out of it, as a shark would its prey, they instead exhume thoughts and feelings. But they maintain that those feelings are not their own, but their characters.
Sometimes it's just difficult to get the words out, right? Writer's block. There's just something keeping you from carving out that piece of art from yourself. Sometimes you just need a little help.
And that's where these sessions come in.
Correct. Yes. We have gotten entire lines that are dormant within our subconscious, all ours, that just took some coaxing to bring out. Some fire.
Like I said previous, what lies underneath the surface is just given new life to rise up and reveal itself. Each word spoken is spoken with vigor. The readers can sense it on the page. I truly believe that. It changes the whole meaning of the piece. It's something written in a more tranquil environment, especially if the writer wants to have charge or voice. It must be written with that vigor.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm confused. What are feelings of yours brought to the surface or of your characters?
It's Well, it's difficult to articulate into words.
But what is it you want to get out of this arrangement? I understand the short term with your art, but beyond that?
Prosperity. For both of us. To make a living on our art.
But why push each other so hard? I Is this truly the only way to make a living off of your art? I mean, I would just like to understand, Evangeline. Honestly,
Understand. Understand. Well, you didn't come to us with the goal to understand. That's what you said when we agreed to help you with your little film. You said our story was of interest, and we could be given depth when others had written us off as deluded or a danger to ourselves. What reason could you have for going back on your word? To pick us apart? Like a detective to an alibi?
when I felt it became imperative to do so.
Well, director, I fail to understand. I need to continue this discussion.
In my line of work, work in which you often insert yourself into the lives of others to varying degrees, you learn how to take a hint. Or, as a mentor of mine who worked in the same business once said, you either learn how to take a hint or learn how to take a hit. Having experienced the latter a number of times and having witnessed the couple's brainstorming sessions, in this instance I chose the former. Very well then. One of our producers said something I thought was a very apt analogy to the couple's arrangement, likening it to sitting in your parked car with the garage door closed, turning the ignition, and believing that upon waking up the fumes will have granted you the ability to fly. It is in the pair's case that I worry that they will not wake up, let alone be able to fly. I worry about the constant, never-ending feedback loop of volatility and dejection that may result into a singularity, an ultrafine point within the souls of each respective partner, from which neither of the two's light will be able to escape. What many see as torture, and the couple see as necessary for success, I see as brutalistic self-sabotage of the delusional, dependent variety. The roots planted firmly from one to the other, whether it is love or hate or both. I worry about the kind of nova that will erupt from their separation, if it is not this month, this week, and today. But what I fear most is if that day never comes to pass. Thank you for watching.